We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that.
Hello lovelies, 6k subs, so I just want to take a moment to say thank you very much. I appreciate you following me here. Still less than Pundit, which I'm sure he's very happy about, but there you go. I have been trying all year to kind of take things easier and maybe even do a bit more on the YouTube channel, because it's kind of relaxing for me, and I like communicating. You know, it's relatively easy content and it's something regular that I can do, but that hasn't happened for one reason or another this year. There's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we live in interesting times both personally and professionally, so that hasn't happened. So maybe I'll be able to take 2023 easily when we get to 2024, but I guess we'll see. Tabletopless has been on a bit of a hiatus, but that is coming back, but that takes a little bit of time. Basically knocks a couple of days out of my week for anything other than tinkering. Not that I'm complaining, but yeah, you just need to keep that in mind. I am working on, and have been working on, some adult side projects, Deck of Many Kinks being one of them, and also a steampunk erotic choose your own adventure book with a co-author. So that's a large part of what I've been working on, and a lot of tinkering and considering, which is unglamorous and doesn't earn a great deal of money, but it's the sort of thing you have to do in preparation for projects when they do turn up. So moving forward, what can you expect here? What can you expect from me elsewhere? Honestly, I don't quite know, but I have a few ideas which we might as well go into. I enjoyed the Roll for Insight videos, but possibly did too many of them too quickly. I don't know, it was easy, short, minimal work. It engaged with the audience, but it was maybe too quick, too easy. Maybe that's the problem. Excuse me. That I'm having with it. I tend to put a bit more work than that into things, but not necessarily hugely. But it's definitely something I want to go back to. I was hoping that more other people would engage with it and want to use my platform if they have smaller channels or smaller self-publishing companies, and that never quite materialized. So maybe I need to refocus that onto myself more. I enjoy doing the reviews. Excuse me. But that costs money, obviously, and I don't tend to get stuff before it's released, and other people generally can review it. And being in the UK, often we get books later, and I get 2 to 3 times as many views on a current, up to the minute release like Planescape as I do for, say, older material or stuff that's already come out in the States or elsewhere. So, reviews is an investment of money, which YouTube alone doesn't necessarily pay for, but it's something I enjoy doing, because reading through a book, examining how it's put together from a designer's point of view, from a publisher's point of view, I think is an interesting exercise. It's the kind of thing that I like to watch. So there's that, I suppose. I would like to open myself up for sponsorships. So if people wanted to pay me a small pittance just to make YouTube a little bit more worthwhile, to have their advertisements for their projects, Kickstarters, whatever, on my videos, I would like to open up to that. I don't think there's a lot of point me going after the more commercial sponsorships. I would rather, again, use my platform to help promote other people's work, other people's books, other people's projects, that sort of thing, and maybe offer my videographer services as well to put together little short advert clips like I do on my videos, as you'll probably see at the end of this one, for other people as well. So that could be like a package deal, I suppose. You know, I'll make an advert for you, do a voiceover in my dulcet English tones, and advertise for you as well. But I'll have to figure that out. Is that something anyone would be interested in? Let me know. What else? I want to emphasize my Patreon, get it to a reasonable level, and then actually produce material for it, rather than having it be like a clearinghouse where you can see stuff that I've been up to. I did try setting up an email list, which is effective at actually reaching people, but I really need an assistant, and I don't particularly have one. I have one or two people that I occasionally hire on a one-off basis to do stuff, but I can't afford to hire a proper assistant. So that is why there's a lot of half-assed stuff, I suppose. Work-wise, I still want to take a year easier and do other things like paint minis, put models together, stuff, rather than just work all the time. You know, you've got to take time to absorb things. It's part of the reason I do the reviews. You know, I have a library of RPGs, because I see myself as a bit of an archivist and a historian there. But you know, it's a good excuse to take time away from work and do stuff that's work-ish. But looking back over my older games, maybe I should update some of them into different systems and so on. You know, things that have proven themselves or have sold a reasonable amount. Those are things that people might buy again. It's normally reckoned that the life cycle is about 5 years for an edition. And many of my games are older than that, and I've certainly learned a lot since then, particularly with the early releases, so maybe that's something worth looking into. I've also thought maybe I should spend more time on a single system and a single game world rather than constantly doing one-offs. It's just that's how my brain works, one obsession at a time. You know, so that's why I go from game to game, world to world for the most part. Creating and modifying a system, putting the world together, a book out for that, and then move on to something else. You know, I'm not deluding myself into thinking that there are massive years-long campaigns of most of my games out there. Rather, my audience is similar to me, I think, in that they're RPG gadflies moving from game to game, system to system, world to world. But it might be interesting to see what happens if I fixate upon one game line, one setting, you know, one rule set for a protracted period of time, and whether that builds an audience and a community as time goes on. To do that, though, I think I'd have to commit to a popular system, which I tend to grate against. But if you don't do that, then you don't really get a community going around it. So I don't know, just idle thoughts. YouTube wise, I mean, reviews, occasional commentary, maybe some more information on games that I run, lore and background from ongoing campaigns, or from game settings. Would people be interested in me, for example, doing a tour of different cities and locations within Artausorian's Cyberpunk, and then speculating on what they might look like in the times of the Red or by 2077? Would that be something people might be interested in? Or videos on the background of the Tabletop Plus games? Is that something that would interest people? My consumption of YouTube, there's just not as much stuff that interests me anymore, and I'm kind of wondering why that is. Is it the algorithm? Are the creators that I like not producing as much content? Should I produce the kinds of things that I want to watch, because it seems like they're not that popular on YouTube? So, you know, where do you go there? It's hard to know. Where's my heart in all this? I mean, I still like publishing stuff. I enjoy mentoring people. My relationship with the OSR is complicated because I've never seen myself as an old school player, and yet I keep getting drawn into OSR games and that broader OSR community, even though it's just really not my thing necessarily. The Week in Geek and its little community is fun. I always enjoy hanging out with the guys there. I think I've always been the games master, and that's largely how I like it. So I enjoy running games, but the pace of the Grim Game project of playing everything I haven't played on my shelves, it's fairly punishing, and it remains to be seen how that's going to work with Tabletop Plus as well, because that's preparing a weekly game and running it online up until stupid o'clock in the morning. So I'd be curious to see how I cope with that. Talking on the Week in Geek with Mark Reinhagen and JC, he's always an inspiring chap, and he always makes me think about my own game design journey and so on. So maybe some of what we talked about on that episode, if I can tease you to go and watch it over on T-Shirt Historian's channel, maybe some of what we talked about there is something I want to do to try and advance the art form, or try and fulfill some of the goals that Mark was talking about. I mean, something like my own, the description system is incredibly rules light, and maybe just using something like that concentrates on the narrative and the descriptives of a character, and then concentrating on the world, maybe that makes more sense to do. Producing adult content is something I very much like, because it is virtually untouched ground in gaming, but it is full of pitfalls and issues and problems and shadow banning and negative reactions and so on, which I get enough of anyway, but I do enjoy that and get a sense of fulfillment out of that, and purpose that I don't from a lot of other content. Mental health advocacy is important to me. Discussing politics and history and providing education on that is something that's important to me. Maybe I can gamify that, turn it into a gamer's perspective on these things. I don't know, this is all kind of speculation. I appreciate feedback from my audience and my fans, such as they are, and so on. As what would you like to see? What of what I have mentioned sounds interesting? Do you see where I'm coming from? Basically. But yeah, this past year, this is not how this year was supposed to go. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening, both externally and internally. I'm tired. I've been dogged by depression this year pretty badly, and all these personal and global events have weighed on me a bit. When you know people around the world, you tend to know more people who get caught up in shit happening, and that makes it more personal and difficult. But yeah, it's just like me to end a celebration with a downer, isn't it? 6k subs, that's great. That's what I wanted by the end of this year. So I guess let's aim for 7,000 by this time next year, if not more. Zang.
Colony Moon is a cooperative or competitive story game about founding a moon colony, making it succeed and opening up the rest of the solar system for exploration. Players take on the parts of the board and make decisions about the future of the colony, expending political capital and gaining prestige when their plans work. Available at post-mort.com, lulu.com for print, and drive-through RPG.